YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to the Radar for Wrestling channel. We are live streaming our predictions for Fastlane. Got my two buddies right here, Mex, Wrestlemaniac UK. Thank you for coming back on. His link is in the description section below. If you're not subscribed to him, which you probably already are, but if you're not, for some odd reason, subscribe to him. Jonesy Chats Wrestling. Thank you for coming back on as usual. And his link is in the description section below, but you probably already are subscribed to him. If not, what are you thinking? Get subscribed. Links in the description section below. How are both you guys doing today?
Very good. It's great to be here. Go home show, go home weekend to Fastlane. On the Fastlane to Wrestlemania now. So yeah, excited, man. Definitely.
Yeah, and you know, we saw the angle on SmackDown for the special enforcer, but I'm gonna be the special enforcer today. That's all that matters. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and thanks for having me, man.
Oh, anytime, man. I love having you guys on. Awesome content you guys are putting out on your channels. Awesome opinions and stuff like that. You know, I like to get as many people as I can on here to get different opinions for all different matches because we all look at everything differently. Wrestling's always super subjective. Everybody sees stuff differently. So it's a pay-per-view that not many people are excited about. I think probably the overwhelming majority of people who watch professional wrestling, and especially WWE in general, are not excited for this pay-per-view. It seems like one of those pay-per-views where like, why are they having it? Jonesy was telling me earlier it's like rematch city because we do have a lot of rematches on here. Some may surprise, some may not. Mex was saying that, you know, the SmackDown side looks a lot better than the Raw side, which is true. It does look a lot better in terms of quality matches and storylines. But for the most part, it's a bunch of matches that don't really need to happen. But we're gonna see how everything swerves going into WrestleMania. But let's start off with this. Mex, to start with you. What is the match on this pay-per-view you're most excited about, if any?
Oh, you got me. I am excited for the Roman Reigns Daniel Bryan match. I think Daniel Bryan, I haven't really bought into this Edge Roman Reigns feud, especially since Edge chose him officially. But I think with the added element of Daniel Bryan, I think he's been carrying this feud, you know, ever since about that time for the last 3 weeks or so. It's all been about Daniel Bryan. He's been looking really good in all of this. I think this is the match that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it's the most interesting one because it has so many implications towards WrestleMania more than anything else on the current, you know, product anyways. I think this one has the most like kind of question marks heading into Mania as to how everything's going to play out. Jonesy, what about you? What is the match, if any, that you're excited about on this pay-per-view?
Unicorn title, Biggie and Apollo. I can't believe I'm actually interested in an Apollo match. Credits to WWE. That's a miracle. But no, really excited, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, they've really pushed that storyline well. I've enjoyed the way they've done it. Apollo, I think for me, I said this on my review of SmackDown yesterday. Big E has already been established as a character, and what character he is, he can just continue to evolve it and change it, tweak it, and grow it. This is all about Apollo becoming, you know, coming into his own in terms of a character base and really being pushed to the next level if he can and capitalize on everything he's doing. This is what this whole thing's about to me anyways. It's just about Apollo creating a character, being somebody stable enough as a character to be able to continue to become a star in the company. You have Big Boy Facts. Johnny, what's up? Hey, Big Boy, what's up, man? Hopefully you're subscribed to Mex and Jonesy. If not, the description section has the links for their channels. Make sure you sub to their channels. Steve from SCW, great lineup on the panel. Hope everybody's doing well. Steve, what's going on? Great to have you here in the stream. We're gonna have something big next weekend as well. WrestleMania 9 retro review with Nonstop Wrestling Chat, Jonesy and Steve on there. So stay tuned for that one next Saturday. I believe it's gonna happen. WrestleMania 9 retro review. So yeah, let's get into this though. We have some issues with the pre-show because, you know, they're gonna have a pre-show match. I haven't had anything heard announced yet, but I assume it's gonna be something for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Now we saw what happened on SmackDown with that kind of mini gauntlet they had with, you know, the Mysterios, Street Profits, Alpha Academy with, you know, the Dirty Dogs on the outside. Alpha Academy won, the number one contenders. I think this all lead, if they do a pre-show match, which is the two tag teams, I think it may lead to a multi-tag team title match at WrestleMania. It just seems like the most logical thing for SmackDown titles. Raw we already have what they're gonna do with you know, Omos, AJ versus the New Day. But if this match happens, how do you think it's gonna work out for Fastlane? Do you think it'd be a multi-team match, or do you just think it'll be Alpha Academy against Dirty Dogs? Jones, I'll start with you.
I think it'd be a multi-man match. I don't think they're gonna have two heel teams against each other, if I'm being honest.
I don't think they're gonna put this match on a pre-show. I think their best bet is to just let this go till WrestleMania. Let's not stack up this show or make it any longer than it needs to be. I think I was just thinking when you said that maybe we get, you know, an AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston from Raw on the pre-show, but what a sin it is to put AJ Styles or Kofi Kingston on a pre-show. So maybe we don't get that.
Yeah, that'd be the ultimate slap in the face to both guys if they end up doing that one. Hopefully they don't. But we don't know. So we don't know if that match is going to happen because, again, it was set up on SmackDown just yet last night. So we'll see what happens. I haven't had any word on what's going to be in the pre-show and what isn't. But let's start with a matchup that it's a rematch, which may be on the pre-show, to be honest with you, if they don't do a tag match. And it is this match right here. Mustafa Ali taking on Riddle for that United States Championship. Now, they had the match on, I believe it was on Raw when they had this match first, this past Raw. And now they're going to have it again here. I don't think the title comes off Riddle. Maybe it happened at Mania. I think there's going to be a ton of like multi-person matches, and this is going to be one of them at Mania. Riddle versus, a slew of opponents. I don't think they'll go back with Ali again for like a three-peat like that. And I just think this is all going to lead to the eventual breakup. And I hope to God it actually happens of Retribution. Just like they got to get rid of that team already. They've destroyed it since day one. It's been useless and pointless since day one. I think Riddle holds on here and holds on to the title. I just don't see any way possible Ali wins this. But Max, I'll start with you. What do you think about this United States Championship match?
That's probably what I think about it. You know what? I think there's two outcomes here in terms of storyline. Yeah. Mustafa Ali wins, and then finally he gives some steam to Retribution. I say that cautiously. Or he loses and they break up. Like maybe they break up on a pay-per-view, or they literally break up on Monday night on Raw. Because he's already been teasing the fact that he's getting onto them a lot, and they are just getting berated, every single week. So something's got to give. I don't think this should go all the way to Mania. Mania for United States Championship, maybe a multi-man match of some sort. Either Ali wins this, or if Riddle retains this split. But I don't know. I might go for an. Let's go for Riddle. That's a safe choice.
All right. Jonesy, what about you? What do you think about this Riddle versus Mustafa Ali for the United States Championship match?
I think in ring it'll be really, really good. Obviously, the series is tied at one apiece between them both. They've obviously faced each other before. I think they do is what Meg said, what they should have done on Monday night, where Retribution split up. But for me, I think Riddle's your winner here. I can see Riddle winning this and then facing potentially Keith Lee at WrestleMania, because they were already teasing Keith Lee and Riddle before before Keith Lee went away even at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, some interesting stuff with Keith Lee. He recently said that he'll let everybody know in the future, or he hopes to talk about it in the future as to what's going on right now currently. I don't know if he's having issues with the company itself. It'll be a travesty if that ends up happening, that there is issues with him in the company, or stuff like that. That'll be terrible. But I don't know what's going on with Keith Lee. We may find out in the future. But if Keith Lee does make a comeback, yeah, Riddle versus Keith Lee is a good matchup for WrestleMania. But yeah, like I said, I don't think Mustafa Ali can win this outright. And I think just it's about time. Retribution has been going on for a little bit too long. I've been trashing Retribution for like a while now, and I'm kind of tired of doing it. So I kind of hope they just get rid of the group, as a whole. And, but like, again, there's nobody else really for that United States Championship right now on Raw other than a Keith Lee that's really you see as a challenger, right? Like, I don't know if you guys see anybody else other than Keith Lee as a legitimate challenger.
No,
I don't know how they'll bring him in. Like he's been away for such a long time, and depending how they bring him back and bring him in, maybe it works. But
I think the thing with it is it's one of them things when they've got to hit the ground running with this guy. This guy came in with such a build from NXT. Obviously, won his first match sort of when he was in there. He had a massive win, I think, over Randy Orton week 1. But ever since then, he's been off TV and for whatever else. But bring him back in, and let's really see the Keith Lee we all know from NXT. I think this guy should be really up there on the WrestleMania card this year. It's a real travesty that he's not really. Yeah,
and he was my guy to for the Royal Rumble, and I was a disaster. He wasn't even there, and he was there for the Legends Night, that big match against Drew McIntyre for the championship, lost it, and then he disappeared completely off the face of the planet after that. So I mean, hope all is well with him, and it's just maybe an injury thing or something else. I don't know what it could possibly be, unless other than him having issues with Vince McMahon, the company, the way they're booking him, or Vince McMahon just not fascinated, not really feeling the whole character of Keith Lee. He did take some changes when he came to the main roster, the music, the singlet, the different gear, the stuff he was wearing. So he completely changed his look just a little bit. Steve in the chat, CW, always thought we'd get Keith Lee versus Sheamus at Mania, but with no Lee at the moment, perhaps Riddle versus Sheamus or triple threat if Lee returns. That's actually a good point, Steve, to be honest with you. That's really good because Sheamus is taking on Drew McIntyre here. He's obviously not going to be thrown into the championship match at WrestleMania because that's already been announced. It was announced on Monday that it's going to be a singles McIntyre versus Lashley for that championship. So the match we're having tomorrow night between Sheamus and McIntyre is kind of useless if you really look at it. What's the point? It should have been a number one contenders match, but it makes sense to have Sheamus kind of just drop down to the mid-card title, and then you could do that triple threat match because Sheamus and Keith Lee had their issues. How comical those issues were, how all that turned out. It would be a good, kind of spot for Sheamus to drop down into and have Keith Lee in there as well. And you could put the title on Keith Lee right there as well, too, if you wanted to at WrestleMania. Even if he's been gone for so long, it doesn't have much steam to it. But let's get to the next matchup. Another match that was set up on SmackDown because of Seth Rollins' return, having issues with Cesaro. We all know it's going to be Cesaro Rollins at WrestleMania. That's where it's all leading to. But he has somebody coming up to his defense. So Cesaro does, and it's his former tag team championship partner, Shinsuke Nakamura, who's turned babyface again. He has his old music. So I kind of hope they put a little bit of a push on him after this. But we have this match that was announced. It is Seth Rollins, the Messiah, against Shinsuke Nakamura. So it should be pretty interesting how this match plays out. This could be one of the better matches on the card, even though it doesn't have a ton of hype to it or a ton of backstory. It's just kind of Shinsuke stepping up for his old friend Cesaro. But it could be a really good matchup. I think in the end, Rollins is going to win this one because he is the returning guy, right? And a guy the caliber of Rollins returning from a long absence, I think he's going to win this, and I think he's going to win at WrestleMania. I don't think Cesaro stands much of a chance to win at WrestleMania, right? I do have that video. Check that one out. WWE wasted Cesaro. Check that out. I have a lot of thoughts on Cesaro as to why they wasted him and all that stuff like that. But in this spot, I just think the guy a caliber of Rollins returning, neither of these guys stand a chance, to be honest with you. But I'll start with Jonesy. What do you think about Shinsuke versus Seth?
I think it'd be great in win, as you said. Not had much build, only built it up last week, really. But looking forward to seeing it. Obviously, this will be Seth's first in-ring match this year as a singles match. We've not seen him in ring as a singles wrestler since November, so really looking forward to seeing it. But my prediction's Rollins all day long. He needs to go in strong against Cesaro. That's 100% the way they should build it, I think.
How about you, Max?
Yeah, I'm going for a Rollins win here. It's great to see these guys kind of get an opportunity, especially in a singles capacity. I'm hoping that they keep to what seems to be the plan right now, which is Cesaro and Rollins in a singles match at Mania. I think that'll be fantastic. Great opportunity for Cesaro, which has never had that kind of stage and that kind of solo attention before. Contrary to what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania, I think Cesaro will get a win over Rollins at WrestleMania. Rollins he's past all of this. He can afford to put him over. Rollins, when he gets a title shot at WrestleMania, that's when he can get his wins back. But we saw him lose to Kevin Owens last year. I think he would lose again to Cesaro if he gets to Mania. But on this night, Fastlane, I think he beats Nakamura.
That's interesting. Yeah, like I can see that happening. Like logically, you would think, right? Seth Rollins would be like, I'm the guy to kind of put him over. It's finding his time to get a big win. But remember, I kind of felt that way heading into Elimination Chamber, and then Daniel Bryan gets the win in the Chamber. I kind of feel like the whole Bryan situation should have been where Cesaro is right now. Like Bryan doesn't need to be in that spot, shouldn't be in that spot. I think Cesaro should have been in that spot and then get thrown in to that triple threat if they do a triple threat at Mania. I think it's better him to get a title shot, get him out there. If you wanted to, you could have Rollins screw him over in this matchup. Let's say if it was Roman versus Cesaro won the Chamber, same set of events happen, and then Cesaro versus Roman at Fastlane, and then if you wanted to, Rollins could screw him out, and that's how you make that happen. But I think it's about time Cesaro got a title shot. But I just can't see it happening, right? Like I'm so pessimistic when it comes to Vince and Cesaro. I think he just can't stand Cesaro, like in the terms of like marketing and just pushing him as a big guy to give him this win. And I just think they kind of tipped their hand a little bit with the way he was so favored to win that Chamber match and then lost it. He wasn't even in the final two. That was the craziest part about it.
That train's left the station. Definitely. That train has left the station without Cesaro on it. He should have won at Elimination Chamber. He beat Daniel Bryan 2 weeks running, and then they didn't take him all the way, which for me, he will beat Rollins at WrestleMania. Definitely. I think that's probably nailed on if it's a great shout. But if he gets pushed after that, really, it'll be just see how long this push lasts. Because I really would love to see Cesaro with the belt as well. But Vince isn't really behind him, I don't think.
Yeah, you guys are more optimistic than I am when it comes to that Mania match. Go ahead, Max. I don't know. It's just
I think whoever wins, because I think some people are saying now that maybe Roman's not walking out of Mania with the title, which it's mind blowing to me. I think there's no way he can lose right now. Like the guy's brilliant. But anyway, I think what they do is straight out of Mania, Cesaro gets a title shot for the WWE Championship or Universal Championship, whatever, and he probably doesn't win. And then straight after that, he might go on to win the Intercontinental Championship. And maybe that's in front of a crowd. Maybe by then crowds will be back on like regular TV programming and stuff. Yeah, I know they don't see him as a top guy, but even the Intercontinental Championship, which is meant to be the workhorse title, how has Cesaro not won that? Like, it's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't won a singles title since like he was Antonio Cesaro, right? When he had the straps above his knees instead of the knee pads. Remember that? Like that look. That's the last time he held a singles title, was the U.S. Championship. So I don't know. I can't. For me, I just can't be optimistic about Cesaro. I just can't. Like the way they treat him and the way they see him, the view him, and I can't. But like I said, I hope he does beat Rollins at Mania, and I hope it goes on to a really big push after that, whether it be mid card or upper tier title. Big boy Johnny in the chat. I would rather have Bayley and Billie Kay host WrestleMania instead of Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil. Bayley will be way more entertaining than Billie Kay. Yeah, you're right about that. Like, that's a better group. I find Billie Kay extremely entertaining. I think she plays her character very, very well. I find her voice, the way she talks, hilarious, like the way she comes off and stuff like that. She's really like hokey. I enjoy that. Leaving the whole Hulk Hogan outside of the ring stuff and all that out of it. What a random duo, right? If Hulk Hogan, now Titus O'Neil pretty much doesn't do anything on television. He's there as like more of an ambassador. Does a lot of charity work. Does a lot of good stuff like that. So that's what he's pretty much there for at this moment in time. But it's just so random. Like I don't know if is it going to be Hogan night 1 and Titus night 2, or are they both going to do both nights together? But what are you guys' thoughts? Max, I'll start with you of Hogan and Titus O'Neil being the host.
Like, congrats to Titus. Like you said, he's done a lot of work. He is, right now behind the scenes, very corporate, Mr. WWE behind the scenes and all of that. Like you said, Jones, you said earlier today in one of his streams that he's doing a lot of humanitarian work.
Yep.
That's good for him. We know he's not quite the draw, hence why they're putting a draw next to him. Hulk Hogan. It's like, really, now we know of his recent checkered past with the whole racism and all of that kind of stuff. They've put him next to a black man, which I don't really know. Like, do they think it's like, okay, let's show that they're together? Like, is there some unity there?
It's like an optics thing more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the worst thing, which is what they never think about, is that, okay, they put Hulk Hogan there. Hulk Hogan has, come out one way or the other and apologized for what happened in the past. But of course, everything he said in that conversation, which put him out there as a racist, is now flying around on social media. The exact quotes of what he said. So now you have to deal with that while this guy is going to be holding a mic in front of 45,000 people on the biggest, show of the year. Like, just forgive and forget, but don't put him back in the middle of it. And you've put him back in the middle of it. And now this is all we're going to talk about, leading up to Mania, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah, you forgive, forget. There's always a road back, a redemption road for almost everybody. So that's fine. But like, yeah, you putting him with Titus O'Neil is like you're asking people to bring that stuff back up when you want to be as far away from that as you want to be when it comes to. So like whether you just realize or not, you're bringing all that stuff back up. So you're right about that, Max. What about you, Jonesy? What do you think about Hulk Hogan, Titus O'Neil being the host?
Very underwhelming. It's better than Gronk's and Mojo than last year. That's the way I felt. I felt it's an upgrade on them. But let's be fair, Hulk Hogan lives in Tampa, so it makes sense. Titus, as I said, it's a good payoff. I understand that he's doing some good work. But for me, I was pretty underwhelmed from the sounds of things. I think they wanted Cardi B, and the minute they couldn't get the attendance right, they had to drop to plan 2 or the second plan, which would be them 2. But for me, the host has a pivotal role, but we saw Hulk Hogan host at WrestleMania 30. I can't even remember it. That says it all, really, doesn't it? Let's be fair.
Is that when he said Silver Dome or something instead of Superdome?
Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, like that was like what overshadowed Hogan being there, because he really didn't do much, was the fact that the show started off with Rock, Austin, and Hogan, like the 3 of them, right? Like the Trinity right there. Oh. So, it's underwhelming. It's kind of weird, and it's like I don't understand. The host thing is like. There really hasn't really been any good hosts. The New Day were solid hosts because of how entertaining they are just in general. But they didn't do a lot, right? So it's just hope that they don't just parade them out there like a ton. If they want to do it because, they want to push charities and stuff like that, that's perfect. Humanitarian stuff, what other stuff WWE's involved in, that's cool. But just having them out there like just doing nothing and just talking, I don't really like it. It's not a huge thing. But the pairing is weird. They could have went with somebody more entertaining like Billie Kay. Would have been pretty funny. She would have been handing out, resumes to everybody in the crowd. But next thing, let's get to a match that we thought was going to happen, and it's one of the worst storylines I can remember in recent history. It's almost up there with Mex's favorite storyline of all time, the White Castle of Fear. It's up there with that, like if you guys don't know, we did a retro review of Super Brawl 3. It was me, Jonesy, Nonstop Wrestling, and Steve from SCW. Mex was in the chat. He was astounded by this clip that we played of the White Castle of Fear. He literally hit me up on the side, was like, "Can you please send me that?" I thought it was so awesome. I was like, "Mex, I'll try, but like, you're asking a lot." But whatever. So that's what happened. So this is a matchup that's all been around. The storyline is all stupid is, stupid does. That's pretty much all the storyline is. Maybe they'll end up having a match at WrestleMania, stupid is as stupid does match. But it's this match right here. Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman. It's a match that we thought we were going to get at Fastlane, which didn't make much sense because it's a match nobody wants to see to begin with. But then you were thinking like Shane is always a WrestleMania guy, so he'll be at WrestleMania. Why do it on Fastlane? Even though we don't want to see it in any way, shape, or form. But now it seems like it may be gone off the card, and we may not see it. So let's treat it as a what if. And I'll start with Jonesy. What if this match happens? What do you see happening, Shane Braun?
If this match happens, Shane McMahon's picking up the win. Dabba-Kato is going to come out and help him. That's the prediction there. I think Shane McMahon needs a hired hand to get the win here. It's going to go on to a match at WrestleMania. So Braun winning this week or winning tomorrow night. What's the point of the match at WrestleMania? So Shane has to win. I've got my money on Shane, even though the match may not happen. So it's going to end in tears. Let's be honest.
What about you, Max? What do you think about the what if this match does end up happening on Fastlane?
Maybe another kind of funny finish. I really don't see a match coming from this. Like Jonesy said, if it is going to be an official match, Shane's got to win some way or the other. But I think this might be a whole nother, they get to the ring and then some shenanigans happen. The match never actually starts, which leads us to the WrestleMania match. And just on the WrestleMania match, I don't mind Shane McMahon at WrestleMania because I know he's going to do something crazy, something wild. I would love them to use a big Braun win at WrestleMania over Shane to kind of, it's almost like press the reset button for Braun. Give this guy another chance. Like he's decent, but right now they've got him talking too much, which he's not the best at, and got him involved in some silly feuds. But give him a big dominant win over Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, and 2021, let's go with Braun again.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It makes a lot of sense to kind of just hit the reset button on Braun in a big match against Shane. I remember last WrestleMania, he's beating Goldberg for the Universal Championship. He has a little bit of a short run, and a storyline I was excited for was The Fiend versus him because of the backstory and all that. Then Roman got involved. Roman makes his comeback, and then that kind of goes all away. But I mean, we got Roman out of it, so you can't complain too much. So, but like, I thought Braun was always at his best when he was doing those ridiculous feats of strength, flipping stuff over, and those parts where he was beefing with Brock Lesnar and those guys like that is the time they should have put the belts on him. I think they got to kind of revert back to that a little bit. Plus, right now he's in phenomenal shape, like absolutely, especially a guy for his size. He's extremely defined and cut for a guy his size. So I mean, I can see Dabba-Kato, like Jonesy said, but I hope they don't push like, oh, Dabba-Kato is gonna have his first main roster match at WrestleMania against Braun Strowman. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully the match doesn't take place and we have some type of shenanigans going on as to why this match is held till WrestleMania and why maybe it'll be a Nickelodeon slime match at WrestleMania. Or like the Mimosa match, AEW, but it's slime now or something like that, right? I can see them do pulling something like that. I don't know. It's a mess. But hopefully they scrap this one from the show and they just play White Castle of Fear.
Oh.
Next thing on the show is another strange one. We all know it's a match that's probably not actually going to happen. It's not going to be a match. It's this one right here. Alexa Bliss challenged Randy Orton to a match at Fastlane. We all know this is not going to match. That's actually going to play out the way a regular match would. It'll probably be a lot of jawing back and forth or a lot of stuff going on in the ring and just eventually leading to The Fiend making his return. Because how many weeks are they out from WrestleMania? I don't know. I'm not good at math, but they're a few weeks out from WrestleMania. They got to get The Fiend back in the fold and kind of have him back on TV to set this match up. It'd be a big stipulation match for these two at WrestleMania. But Jones, I'll start with you. Alexa, Randy Orton. How do you think this? This is pretty much a non-match. How's it going to play out?
I think it's just designed to get the Fiend back. I think it'll be okay. It'll be interesting to see whether he lets them do sort of any contact because ultimately they don't like any violence or win, which I kind of get. But I'm hoping this will be done. Obviously, Randy Orton is on a bit of a losing streak. He hasn't won a match by pinfall since kind of going back to January. I think that's the last time he won a match by pinfall, which that says it all. While he's in this craziness with the Fiend and stuff, it's taken away the good work I think that he did last year. Really, I think he's wasted here. But no, looking forward to seeing the Fiend back. I just hope it's it's an interesting sort of spot. I hope it's not too cinematic, and I hope he's not doing the Papa Shango gimmick again, as he's done every week on Raw for the last however many weeks.
What about you, Max? What do you think about this match? That's probably not going to be a match.
Yeah, whatever this is going to be, and without sounding like a advocate for violence on women, because I'm definitely not.
Yeah,
we have to see an RKO on Alexa Bliss.
Yeah,
100%. We need to see that. And then the Fiend comes out, and it's going to be really interesting to see the Fiend come out in this kind of new incarnation. You know, he's been burnt alive. He's definitely going to come back. We know that much. What's he going to look like? Is the mask going to be different? Is the appearance going to be different? And that's, to be honest, that's what's really exciting me. And then obviously that's going to lead to the WrestleMania match. And it was funny, I was actually thinking the other day, you know, the fact that this isn't going to be a WrestleMania in front of nobody, they can't really have the Firefly Funhouse match like they did with John Cena and the way that was filmed and kind of given to us. And I was thinking, you know, that maybe WWE reach into their petty bag and pull out a exploding barbed wire death match. Because you know, we saw the other day when Randy Orton was facing AJ Styles, we saw the sparklers come out of the ring posts and everything, and they may just want to show, you know, the other show how to do it properly. So you never know. They've got an outside, they've got a stadium. It's not an indoor event. They've got a stadium.
Yep.
So they could pull something along those lines. Maybe not, you know, an exact barbed wire death match because this is WWE, but something along those lines could happen between the Fiend and Randy Orton.
Yeah, definitely. I can see something like that actually happening. It's got to be like one hell of a gimmick match, right? Like I don't see a cinematic, obviously, because I don't think they want to do cinematics when people are in the crowd. It has a weird feel to it when they do it. Like if, you know, because like the fans are technically just watching on the screen. So, you know, it doesn't really play off that well in a live audience thing. But that's actually an interesting thing. I can see them trolling AEW like that. You know, this is how you do an explosion, you know, and they just blow the whole place up.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. But what I can see going down right here is maybe like Steve in the chat says that lights go out on a 10 for the RKO and the Fiend returns. I was thinking something in the same vein, was that he actually hits the RKO, but as soon as he hits the mat, the lights go out. When they turn back on, Alexa's not there anymore. Randy's on the floor and the Fiend is just on top of him. And maybe we get like, I know it's gimmick, it might be a gimmick infringement, but let's give him the Two-Face look, right? So half of the mask is burnt, half of the clothing is burnt a little bit. I know you can't really have him wrestle a match with a bunch of like you know, prosthetic stuff like on his body, like making him look burnt, but maybe he goes full sleeved now and doesn't show as much skin, and maybe half of his gear is burnt. Maybe they could do that. But I think that'd be a cool visual. He hits the RKO, lights go out. As soon as he hits the mat, Alexa's gone, and the Fiend is just literally like on top of him like that. And then you just see, you know, Randy's facial, like, oh my God, he's afraid of what's going on. I think that might be a cool visual to get into it. What do you think?
The one thing I think is that, because like the last couple of pay-per-views, I'll give it to WWE, they've kind of ended it with a bang.
Yeah.
Now obviously that might, we assume Roman's going to be in the main event, and that might tell, you know, how that match is going to end. But with what you're saying, wouldn't that kind of maybe require some type of camera work and something for not to be live?
Yeah. So I mean, they have a little bit of a delay. So what the good thing is the fact that they don't have fans, they can splice stuff up in a live thing and just kind of cut it like it makes it look like it's actually happening.
They must have done that when he got burnt. They must have done that at TLC, something similar with a dummy and whatever else. But
they swapped the dummy and probably just cut the video feed and changed it.
I've definitely got to give WWE some credit. The way they've kept Bray off telly since December, credit to them. I thought they would have sort of tapped out sooner and then obviously he'd be back, but they've kept him off TV. Obviously, this match was delayed since the Royal Rumble. Looking forward to seeing it. I just really hope we get the Fiend back to what he was originally, because ever since he lost to Goldberg, this guy went from unstoppable to almost like Gilbert in one night, basically. That's kind of the comparison. He's never really been the same again. And I think it'll be a shame, really. I know you can't have him unbeatable and never not sell anything, but this guy had real potential, I think, to really be a real threat on the roster. And Raw kind of needs that, in my opinion. I think they need to bring him back because the Raw roster's a little bit lacking.
Yeah, I think it spice it up a little bit to the Raw roster. Okay, so we've been pretty pessimistic of the show from start to where we're at right now. Almost, you know, about to go 30 minutes into this live stream. I got somebody in the chat, DWE. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He's dropping really good stuff. Make sure you check him out on YouTube. He says optimistically it's going to be a good show. What do you guys got to say to DWE about this one?
He's always so positive. Fair play to you, DWE. No matter what, this guy stays up live and watches it, and he's in the United Kingdom. So
yes,
fair play to you. No, definitely. I think there is some good parts of it. I think the in-ring perspective is going to be really, really good. But I just really hope we're going to be excited going into WrestleMania. We really hope we get that next step to really feel like WrestleMania season. For me at the moment, it doesn't feel like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, DWE, I love your energy, bro. I think we have to be positive because we're all still watching it. So if we're not positive about it, then we're crazy. We're as crazy as Vince McMahon is. But I think that, like Jonesy said, the matches are going to be good. It's unfortunate that more often than not, WWE let us down with the build to these pay-per-views. But you take your hats off to the actual superstars because on the night they deliver. So yeah.
Yeah, no, we can't, like, we're all just like masochists at this point. We know we're not gonna like it, but we just still put ourselves through it, right? Like, who knows why we do what we do. But Steve says, if this is a funny one too. This is what he says right here. If Bliss Orton is anything like the build-up, it's going to be 90% recap or what they've done previously.
It's just an extended episode of Raw.
Pretty much, yeah. It's going to be like, oh, okay, so we're going to have this match, but look what happened the last 4 months since TLC. And we should be like, oh, okay. And then it's just, oh, RKO, lights go out, yeah. And then, he would go on to say the lights out thing at the RKO Feud returns. That's actually pretty funny, man. I think I could see that going down because that's mostly what it's been. It's been him staring at a screen. They've cut to the screen. Okay, look what happened. And then they go back, and then here comes the ooze out of his mouth. Whatever happened to Orton seeing the demonic version of himself on the TV, right? That was like a one-time thing.
That's been forgotten about.
Yeah, and it just kind of happened, and that was it.
That is one of the most stupid things of the whole build. I think for me, that was the point of Papa Shango was bad enough. It's 1992 again, but seeing that's just. I'm surprised they didn't try and book that match, Randy versus himself. Basically, it was almost like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan in WCW when Hogan's looking in the mirror. Yeah, the Warrior's not there, but he's there. Everyone can see it. Is that the same thing, really? But no, I think it's going to be good. Let's be honest. The Randy Orton theme match is going to be fun. It's very cinematic, very fun, but just great to see what they do this. We're finally getting the payoff, which is good, which I think we've been waiting for since TLC, maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. Max, what do you have to say about the optimism from DWE and the whole demonic Randy Orton and all that stuff?
Yeah, like I said, DWE, I'm positive with you, bro. Like I'm looking forward to it. At least from a wrestling standpoint, with the Randy Orton facing himself kind of thing. Like Jonesy said, I'm happy like they dropped it straight away.
It's in the White Castle of Fear. That's what that
is. So yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the eventual Randy Orton versus Fiend match. And I was even thinking maybe Randy Orton does want to turn up the violence on it just to shut Soulja Boy up because Soulja Boy thinks this is fake. So yeah.
That is true. I mean, we could see the lights go out and instead of the Fiend, the Soulja Boy coming out. We could see that. I mean, that could be a possibility as well. Triple threat match, maybe Fiend, Soulja Boy, and all that. It's funny times right now. All right, so let's get to another matchup, and it's one that's another rematch and one that we're not really super excited about, and one that we don't really know the outcome. Because they can go either of both ways, and either of both ways doesn't really affect things too much in the way the current landscape is right now. It's this match right here, the women's tag team title match. Now, these tag team titles have been kind of like useless. Pretty much most of the time they've been around. They haven't been booked well. The division itself never has really been built that well. They never really felt that important. With one night, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships felt more important than these ever have. Even with the likes of Bayley and Sasha holding them with all the belts. They had all 4 belts at one point, and those tag team titles never felt important. So we have this match that's a rematch. And why they're doing it again, who the hell knows? To be honest with you, they don't have many tag teams to go. They're setting up the Tamina and Natalia stuff, right? They attacked on SmackDown. So they're eventually going to come for these titles. I could literally see Sasha and Bianca winning this match and just having them as the WrestleMania women's main event. And, they have all the titles pretty much involved, minus the Raw. I could see it actually happening because, and they're already setting the seeds for the Nia Shayna breakup because Shayna hit Nia inadvertently in the match against Sasha Banks. So I just think they got to do something interesting with these titles. And the most interesting thing I could possibly think of, which is ridiculous sounding, is that having Sasha and Bianca win here and not even defend them at WrestleMania. What do you have to say about this, Max?
I think that the champions are going to retain. This has been very, very lazy. They do this far too often, even with the men's tag belts.
Yep.
I remember a time when Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, I think it was, were tag champions, and Rollins was the Universal Champion. And it's just, they're very lazy. It is very, very lazy. Even on NXT, did you guys see NXT this past week when Finn Balor and Karrion Kross were challenging? I was literally crossing my fingers and toes, hoping that they don't become tag team champions. But yeah, this is just a way to try and get, the Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks story to WrestleMania. I think it's very ineffective. A match that I was very excited for come Royal Rumble when Bianca Belair won. I've just become less and less excited for. But I do think, obviously, again, on the night of WrestleMania, these two women are going to deliver. I think they are still going to toe the line here of, are they getting on or not? Or are they still going to, I have respect for you, this, that, and the other. And I think in the WrestleMania match itself, Sasha Banks has to do some absolute despicable stuff to retain the championship, and maybe this goes on a bit longer to SummerSlam, and then Bianca Belair wins. But on the night, I think that Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler should just retain and move on.
Yeah, I can see that happening. You're right about the whole, like, are they okay? Are they friends? Because you saw, like, in the beginning of SmackDown, they were having issues with each other, and then after Sasha wins the match, they're hugging, like, as they walk backwards. So, like, it's kind of, I don't know, just create like an issue between the two, right? Some animosity. But Jonesy, what do you think about this women's tag team title match?
I think it's all about Reginald. I think Reginald obviously is going to be the vital tool in this match. I think he's obviously probably going to go with Sasha Banks. Probably does. I think the whole point of having this rematch was for Sasha to turn heel. Really, should have done it last month for Elimination Chamber. Makes sense to do it sort of on this event, but I think Nia and Shayna are going to win. It makes no sense to give the women's tag team belts to Bianca and Sasha at this point. I think it'll be a waste again. I think you're going to have the same problem you had as when you had Oscar and Charlotte with the women's tag team belts. I think you need to keep them belts separate way for the women's champion, because the women's championship division sort of suffers because of it, I think, a little bit.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does. And it would be ridiculous to have. They've done it before with the men's, like Mech said. Like, they've done this stuff before, and it never really works out that well. I think it obliterates the tag team division as a whole. I mean, it's up there with, like, having Nicholas, he's like 7 years old, 9 years old, winning tag team championships. It's up there with that. It's like ridiculous stuff that we all know. Vince hates tag team wrestling. He just can't stand it. He looks at it fiscally, right? So he looks at it, why do I have to pay 4 guys to have a match? I could pay 2 guys to have a match, right? So that's what he looks at it, which is logical if you look at it in a financial standpoint. But in a wrestling standpoint, which you are a wrestling company, that does make a lot of money. So I don't really think it hurts you fiscally that much, to be honest, because you're paying all these guys contracts anyway. So you got to have them do something. You can't have guys sitting at home and not doing anything. Shout out to former WWE superstar Zack Ryder, who's doing a lot of that. So it just doesn't make any sense as to why to have this match. They could have had Tamina and not Natalia do this match. To be honest with you, why have these two women? I understand the only reason, like Jonesy said, the only reason you should have this match is to have the heel turn, which should have happened in Elimination Chamber, or should have happened this past Friday on SmackDown. Create some animosity between the two women, because the whole lovey-dovey, I respect you, babyface tends to not work, especially on the biggest stage at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah,
I think that I think maybe save the turn for WrestleMania, but definitely tease it on the night, especially if they lose the match, maybe by Reginald's hands again. Bianca Belair's kind of voiced already that she's quite pissed off with Reginald's involvement in all of this. So if she can kind of still get a bit mad at Sasha, and Sasha's kind of looking at her like, does this girl know who I am? I'm the SmackDown Women's Champion. And then at WrestleMania, she does the absolute worst thing. I don't even know what that could be right now, but does something to cheat to win, and then gets the official heel heat. Then she can go on a bit of a tear before SummerSlam, where Bianca Belair eventually wins, maybe.
I like that. I think that's really good. It's like when Stone Cold turned on The Rock. It's that reaction of you don't kind of expect that coming, do you? You don't expect that twist, which I think it'd be really good, and that would make sense. That would make WrestleMania memorable. So I think it's a great shout, Max.
I think we go into WrestleMania a lot with, and I say us, it's Vince McMahon, thinking, all these top belts, they have to change hands at WrestleMania. Sometimes they don't. And especially when you've got a reason for them not to. So, I think they've kind of botched this build up, unfortunately, between January and WrestleMania. Let them have some more time, figure out a good storyline between the two women, and then maybe do the change then.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They could just hold it off. I just don't like the fact that Reginald's involved in all this, right? Because, like, what's the point? Like, what's their fascination with having Reginald involved in this entire storyline? I feel like what they probably should do. You remember how on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, Sasha Banks said that she's pretty much like Vince McMahon, right? Like, she's on his level. It would be pretty interesting to have maybe Stephanie or Vince come out in that main event, similar to Austin Rock, and help out. The heel turn, right? Like, help it out, I think, right? That's something
it.
like that.
Stephanie McMahon comes out and helps her. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, because it'll be just like the same thing as that, but just the female version of it, and just do that, right? I think that'd probably be better, because like having Reginald here is similar to the James Ellsworth effect, right? Which ruined that first ever Women's Money in the Bank, that they had to redo it, because it's it's patronizing to have something like that go down where like the man has to come in and help the woman or involve them in it, because just let the women do their own thing. And you want to push women's wrestling, especially the way it is now. It's so good, right? It's so good. They have tremendous matches and all that stuff like that. And I think that probably the thing right there, like have Stephanie come out, and she's come out before and said that everything Sasha does is like tremendous. Like her character, everything she's doing right now is so good. She's come out and said that. So we haven't seen her on TV for a while. Her coming out maybe causing the screw job finish and having her turn heel Sasha on Bianca. And, she holds on to the title, but eventually Bianca gets it eventually. That's the whole thing. So let's go back a couple of WrestleManias ago. You had the same WrestleMania where you had AJ, Shinsuke, Charlotte, Asuka. The two people that won the Royal Rumble, everybody wanted them to win, right? They wanted them to win the titles. Both of them losing was kind of the wrong choice, but I think Asuka losing was the wrong choice. But eventually, Shinsuke should have won that title off of AJ. The fact that he didn't hurt Shinsuke in the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the fact that the heel turn was good that came out of that, but yeah, definitely, I think it's just a crazy sort of point. But no, I think everyone thinks Bianca Belair's going to win at WrestleMania, but that would be one for shocks if Sasha was able to kind of pull that win off, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely by hook or by crook. I'm beginning to think 100% Sasha should win. And Sasha has never won at WrestleMania.
Wow.
She's had 4 or 5 WrestleMania matches, tag matches, triple threats, but she's never won. So she needs her own kind of WrestleMania moment. She's best as a heel. We've seen it before. Let's do that. And one last thing, isn't it funny how Reginald was introduced as a side member of Carmella's little thing, and he's outlived Carmella that's recently been repackaged? Where is she?
It's crazy. She did some good work when that match at TLC was really, really good. It blew my expectations 100%.
Yeah, she did really good promo work too, and the work up to that whole feud. She did really good on the mic. She did really good. But yeah, I mean, I just think they imagine like the female authority, like
it's Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville's the one, isn't it? Sonya Deville will be the chosen one.
Exactly. You could do Sonya Deville as well, because she's kind of like the kind of like a GM kind of right at this point with Adam Pearce. Yeah, you could do her instead of Stephanie and do that, maybe like the female authority type of thing. You could do that. I think it'll work. It makes sense. I forgot about her being part of like the GM. Plus, remember, I thought she completely outshined everybody else in that storyline she did with Mandy Rose. I think the whole storyline was for Mandy Rose, but in the end, Sonya Deville became out like a megastar coming out of that. I think her promo work was so good heading into all that. And then unfortunately, the stuff happened outside the ring with, the authorities and the whole stalking stuff. So that really derailed everything. And they brought her back in kind of like not a manager, but a GM role, kind of a backstage role. And I think this would actually kind of catapult her back into the forefront, kind of be like a mastermind behind all this. I think it'd be really, really good stuff. And I totally forgot about her, honestly, to be honest, because the way she brought her back has been kind of just like, it's been lackluster. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that match. That's probably the most interesting match because how it plays into WrestleMania. But let's get to the next match. We have 2 matches left. This match, I've completely and utterly enjoyed the storyline. And I think it's been all about Apollo, right? This whole thing is about Apollo. We know who Big E is. We know his character. We know what he's doing, what he's capable of. We've seen him for years, and he's really evolved and flourished in the New Day stable. Now he's on his own, and he's on his own at a perfect time where everybody wants him to be in this position to win that mid-card title, eventually challenge for that world title and win it, and have that long arc. But he's taking on a guy in Apollo who's been so underwhelming in everything he's kind of done. He had a little bit of a run here. It doesn't really work out that well. They kind of can it, and it's just done. Now he's heel. He's embracing his roots, his family roots, his family Nigerian culture and all that stuff like that, and he's playing out on TV. Now, I'm not completely sure because I'm not super familiar with Apollo Crews pre-WWE. He is just good at doing this accent, right? It's not his actual accent, right?
So I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
My parents are Nigerian. I was born in the UK. My parents are Nigerian. So this accent to me sounds whack as hell, like whack.
But it's not. He doesn't actually speak like that's not his actual voice, right? The one we were hearing this entire time. Yeah, right. I think this entire time. Yeah.
Like I've always been under the impression he was born in the US. I think I saw someone say last week that he's actually born in Nigeria and moved over as a child. But either way, the accent is completely whack in terms of how he's saying stuff. And it might be obviously mixed with his US accent. Apart from that, I think what they have done here in the last 3-4 weeks has been so refreshing to his entire WWE run since he came to the main roster, especially. Last year, he had a bit of a run with the US Championship involved with Hurt Business early days as well, MVP and Bobby Lashley. Since then, he's been on a roll. Came over to SmackDown. It slowed down for a bit, and now he's kind of worked his way back into the phrase, doing some great stuff. I think the big take from this, for me personally, is Big E. We've known him so much as a joker and all of this. And when those weeks when Big E was off and Apollo revealed this accent, I thought, oh my God, Big E's going to come back and bury his accent. He's going to be like, oh, you don't speak like that. Why are you speaking like that? And I thought the fact they haven't got Big E to do that is going to give this a bit more legs. My big conundrum for this match is that for everything they've done to build up Apollo, he either has to win this match or he wins it at Mania.
Yeah.
So if he wins tonight, I assume he holds it for a bit. Big E wins it back at Mania. And if that doesn't happen, vice versa has to happen. Big E can't beat him twice. that can't happen. Otherwise, Apollo is canned, and is what do we do this for? I don't really know who to pick here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Like, how do you book this? It's the problem when you build a character, immediately give him a title shot. That's like, what do you do then at that point, right? Because he's not getting a ton of wins under his belt in a short amount of time. Exactly, Carmella. That's what you get. You get what you got with Carmella. Now, my thing was, all right, so I don't like when they give guys accents that aren't their actual accents, right? The actual ways, because then when you go away from it, it's kind of odd, right? Like, remember Kofi Kingston with the Jamaican, like, remember they brought it up, Triple H and Shawn Michaels were like, didn't you used to have a Jamaican accent? And he's kind of can it. And the same thing with Lana, they canned the Russian accent quick, or like after a certain amount of time, you kind of just, it's in the back of your mind. You think like, oh, remember when she used to talk like that? Like, it's kind of weird. But my thing is that the past SmackDown, last night's SmackDown, they had the brawl in the backstage. I think it would have been better if you would have had Apollo would have had his guards there and attack Big E, like, and then him berate Big E as he's being attacked, because he's playing that whole like kind of royalty gimmick, right? So he has the guards with him and all that. So he has that going for him. I think they probably would have came off a little bit better with that, unless you have in this match those guards or somebody like that interfere, helping him win a schmozzy finish. He gets the win, cheats the win, then drops the title at WrestleMania. Maybe you go with that and it protects Big E, and then you still have him as his run as IC champ Apollo. But Jonesy, what do you think in general, like how this is all going to play out?
I think it's been a fantastic build. I think really we kind of enjoyed it. This is a Big E that hasn't lost a singles match since July last year. I think this guy's been built like a megastar. I think Apollo, the work they've done for him is fantastic. But for me, I think my heart says that Apollo should win, but my head says Big E. I just don't think WWE are going to go through with it. Although we're going to have a match at WrestleMania maybe. But for me, I think Big E's probably going to win, unfortunately. I want Apollo to win, but I just hope they do it in the right way. If it's a DQ, I'd actually be a fan of disqualification match here, because you shouldn't be pinning Apollo. As Mech said, I agree 100%. They really do need to bring that tag team back, though. What was the point of the tag team being there 1 week not to follow that up? It just seemed to be sort of a natural way to get out of one of them being pinned, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if he was backstage, where was the spear he had? Like, why was he using the spear when he was coming at him with the car? He should have just launched the spear at the car. Like,
that was entertaining.
That
was so entertaining.
Or just harpoon the living hell out of the car, the golf cart. But
Anthony, you need to calm down. This is a child show, remember? PG, bro.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Like cars.
I mean, I've got one last thing as well. I'm just surprised this match isn't involving any sort of weapons or anything. I know you may have that at WrestleMania. I get that, but the fact that it's just a singles match, these guys have been so intense. Like in the build in the last few weeks, you would have thought this would be like potentially a no DQ or something like that. I get that. We've got that later in the show as well. But for me, I think it's. Oh, sorry. After you go.
No, sorry, Jonesy. I was saying maybe Apollo loses it, like he loses his head and goes back to the stairs spot and gets himself disqualified.
You can't pin either one. I think if you pin either one, unless you're going to give it to Apollo, I think it'd be a great shame for Apollo not to get the belt here. Because for me, he's the Intercontinental Champion. He should be based on this build.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys are totally on point with that. Like, it has to be either like he cheats to win somehow, maybe his guards come in and help him out, or it's just like a DQ. But when's the last time they had an actual just simple cage match at WrestleMania? WrestleMania 2?
Yeah, maybe. They don't really do it.
Bundy Hogan?
Yeah.
Right? I don't think there's been like a regular cage match since Hell in a Cell, yeah, but regular cage. I think they put these guys in a cage at WrestleMania and have them just like everything everything's on limits. Like you do whatever you have to do and just really make it like a blood feud at the end. I think that's what they got to do because they're already pushing it that intense. I mean, you saw Big E's demeanor in the interview, right? He was at the brink of like when you're so angry, you feel like crying, like you're starting to tear up because you're so emotional and so heated. That's what he was going for, and that's what he was giving off. It's just you got to go all the way with it, I think, to really make this like resonate after the fact. Like so you think about it like months later, like that was a really good storyline, man. I really like the way that one turned out. Like, and in the end at WrestleMania, whoever wins at WrestleMania, it propels both guys. Yeah, 100%. Whichever direction they go, if you make it that serious, that intense, similar to Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Remember, I mean, Kyle O'Reilly, he says he literally tried to run him off the road. Like, imagine that. Like, that's the storyline they're going with. That's some intense stuff there. So they can go the same way with these guys, and I just think it'll be awesome stuff. But yeah, I mean. The spear should have been thrown at the car. Let's just be honest. I mean, they burned the guy alive, right? It may be on a network or whatever, but they burned the man alive. The spear with the car, I think that's as PG as it gets at this.
I didn't say it, but I agree with everything he said.
All right, Eric in the chat. Remember when King Booker had the accent? Yeah, I mean, like he had the accent because he was playing the gimmick of King, and it was comical, right? But they're playing a straight lace. Like this is a straight lace comment, like accent. So it's like it is what it is. I mean, it's tough because if he's trying to play this accent, it's tough when he gets into certain situations, try to hold the accent. When he gets into heated arguments, like holding the accent is tough. And that's when you start dropping in and out. And that's when it makes it sound worse. Like this drops in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's a little tough.
I just wanted to ask for like, obviously for myself, I'm more exposed to the Nigerian accent and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Did you have any issue with understanding what he was saying in terms of him delivering his promo? Because even myself, I found the accent distracting and not really, I struggled to focus on what he was trying to say.
It is a bit distracting for me. Yeah. Sorry. It is a bit distracting. I think the thing with it is you don't want it to be comedic. And it's almost like a pantomime baddie a little bit. I don't want to So I just think they're going to have a hard job keeping it up, as Anthony said earlier in the chat. I think it's one of them things where he's going to have to do that going forward now. I think if it's dropped, the only way they're going to get out of it is say, oh, you haven't got the accent anymore. I was only putting it on to get the title shot. Maybe somehow, I don't know. That's probably the booking. This is the level we're dealing with the booking at the moment, I'm afraid.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because like I'm saying, like it's just like when they get into this heated arguments, when he's going back and forth on promos or they're brawling in the back, he's going to drop in and out of it. Like it's just tough. Like he's not a world-class, thespian where he's like able to just stay in character the entire time and hold that accent the entire way. So it's tough. I mean, it's interesting, but yeah, it's distracting at first. When I first like his first promo as the new accent, all I thought about was the accent. Right. I didn't really pay attention to what he was saying, whether I could understand, like for Friday stuff, I could understand it, but because I was already like used to it, I guess. But that first promo, I didn't bother listening to what he was saying. I was just like, oh, they got him with the new accent. All right, he's got the spear. He's got the two guys next to him. Okay, it was so and so this and that, and it's an interesting look for him. And I, in the end, I just think this is gonna, if they do it correctly, propel both guys. I think they got to go with a cage. Keep it simple. I think that's just the best thing to do is keep it simple, keep it intense, and they keep the intensity. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, I'm like, so in general, like, did you notice the accent drop in and out?
Yeah, definitely dropped in and out. I mean, God bless Apollo Crews. He's trying, isn't it? Like he was not brought up or hasn't lived a big stretch of his life in Nigeria. So of course his accent will probably sound just like if I tried to put on a Nigerian accent. Yep. I don't have, the original roots in me and all of that for that. So he's trying, but this is WWE, man. Unfortunately, something like if he gets injured for 6 months and they bring him back with his old gimmick, he starts speaking with his US accent again, and everything's forgotten. So
yeah, it's like they just kind of think like, oh, they're not going to remember that. Don't worry about that. Come on, that's like,
exactly.
Steve in the chat, Big E, Apollo, and Cesaro, new stars are slowly being built on SmackDown. They are definitely as the way everything falls right now, Steve, it seems like it is, right? But I just cannot be optimistic when it comes to Cesaro. Apollo, I'm in the middle with, right? I'm in the middle with Apollo. I mean, they can go either way with it. They can push him to the moon. They can just typical WWE and just kind of fades away. Cesaro, I can't be optimistic. I just can't. I mean, like I made an entire video. I just can't be optimistic about Cesaro doing absolutely anything of importance or if he is something important, winning it, unless he's in a tag team, because he's a tag team specialist at this point, and that's the only way he's really found a lot of success is tag team wise. And I just can't see him. I don't know. I wish I could, but I just can't do it.
There's enough data to prove your argument very correct,
That's
but
true.
I remain hopeful.
Like Jonesy, how optimistic can you be about Cesaro?
Not
Realistically.
Really.
Yeah,
the trouble
realistically.
is, as we said earlier in the stream, I think the thing with it is he had his chance after he beat Daniel Bryan twice, and they just don't back him really. This guy's just so talented and underused, but hopefully some good comes of it. Obviously, Roman, whoever's the champion coming out of WrestleMania, will need someone to challenge him, so hopefully it may be Cesaro, but I can't see it. I think Big E's got more chance of winning the title this year than Cesaro, in all honesty.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Okay, so this right now, breaking news. I'm going to drop this. Post WrestleMania, we're going to do a live stream and we're going to talk about the fallout of WrestleMania. Not a review. I'm going to do a review live stream or whatever WrestleMania. I'm talking about the fallout of WrestleMania, and we're going to dissect all the guys coming out of WrestleMania and how they were booked, if they were booked properly, improperly, what they should have done different. So stay tuned for that one. I'll set that one up. We'll do a live stream, kind of just dissect everything post WrestleMania and how, like, night after WrestleMania, who debuts, who shows up. We'll go through all that stuff and try to go through the landscape of WWE post WrestleMania and kind of just figure out who was booked well, who was booked improperly, and if who was right and wrong on Cesaro after WrestleMania. We'll see about that one. But let's get to the final match of the night, and this one has. I know I said the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. I mean, the women's tag team titles probably has the most implications. I think it has the most ways you can go with it, but probably the biggest implications of a WrestleMania match have to fall on this one here, and it is. I'm sorry, did we go through Sheamus and
no,
Drew
we
McIntyre? We haven't got that. I'm losing track of. There's so many matches on this card. Hopefully, it doesn't run long. Forget what I just said. Let's jump into this match. This is a match that's announced a no-holds-barred match. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We've seen this match happen on Raw already. Had a massive, really brutal matchup that ended in a hilarious way when they both decided to ram each other with steps connected to their faces. I thought it was really, really funny, really, really comical, but it was a tremendous match and very, very physical and aggressive and all that good stuff. You know what you're going to get out of these two guys. They're both very similar. They're both very physical. And this match, at this point, feels completely wasted because it's already been announced McIntyre will face Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania for that championship. This should have been number one contenders, unless they plan on making it a triple threat, which I don't think they're going to do. I feel like it's wasted. I think Drew McIntyre wins this out in the end, I think he does, but I think Bobby Lashley might get involved, maybe just to attack Sheamus, because he does have a little bit of a feud with Sheamus because Sheamus did attack him on Monday Night Raw. But other than that, I mean, it's just not really much to really sink your teeth into other than the fact it's gonna be a physical match. Jonesy, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think about McIntyre Sheamus?
I think it'd be great in ring. I think it'd be very hard hitting, as they proved on recent weeks in Raw. This will be very similar probably to the no disqualification draw we saw on Raw a couple of weeks ago. But for me, Drew McIntyre's winning this. It makes no sense here to have Sheamus beat Drew. You want Drew to be strong going into his number one contendership match at WrestleMania.
What about you, Max?
They've kind of blown the cannon early on this one in terms of giving us so much on Raw, and now it's already determined who's going to face WWE champion Bobby Lashley, and this match doesn't really mean much. And if they knew they were going to have this match at Fastlane, the match that ended with both men being knocked out on Raw 2 weeks ago or so, why didn't Sheamus just win that? And then at least this could have been the rubber match. It just again shows the lack of forward planning that they do. Obviously we saw Drew McIntyre kind of unceremoniously named as the person that's going to take on Bobby Lashley. I thought they could have done that a lot better. Like most of us have said, make this a number one contenders match. Drew's probably going to win it anyway, and then he gets his match with Bobby Lashley. Like, it just makes sense. But WWE doesn't always make sense. So I think Drew McIntyre will win, and we're going to get a great match.
Yeah, so for some reason WWE doesn't follow the old adage, keep it simple, stupid. Kids, just keep it simple. I mean, honestly, think about it logically. Okay, why will we announce this match when this match is kind of already hyping this other match up? Now the match is kind of pointless. No holds barred. You want to add the stipulation to get people more interested. It's going to be a physical match. But in the end, the stakes are very, very low. There's no stakes whatsoever. Unless they want to change it night of, you know what? We're going to change it. Whoever wins faces Bobby Lashley. What the hell you announced the match on Raw then? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's backwards thinking. It's consistently it's taking one step forward, 7 steps backwards, in my opinion, when it comes to WWE and their booking sometimes. There's just too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to creative in WWE. But after that being done, let's get to the match I was going to talk about before. The one that has massive implications to what's going to happen at WrestleMania. And it is Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns, the champion, the man who puts food on the table for every wrestler in WWE, against Daniel Bryan, the challenger, the special enforcer after SmackDown is Edge. This has all the makings to me for a triple threat match at WrestleMania. I know people are saying that they don't see it happening, but I don't know, really, be honest with you. But let me start with Max first on this one. Universal Championship match with the special enforcer Edge. Even though Jey Uso was probably going to get involved anyways, like, I don't know, like, special enforcer makes no sense because Jey Uso can get involved. What do you think about the outcome of this match and how it affects WrestleMania?
Firstly, I've never understood what the hell a special enforcer is, because it's like, are you the referee or you're not? Like, what is this? But I think we're gonna see a ref bump. I think we're gonna see Edge maybe go to spear Roman, misses Roman, gets Daniel Bryan, costs Daniel Bryan, and then maybe we see a guillotine from there, and Daniel Bryan taps out or goes to sleep, and then leading on to Mania, I think we're probably going to get night one, Daniel Bryan versus Edge, and the winner takes on Roman. Maybe Daniel Bryan kind of coerces Edge to put up his opportunity directly for the championship in a number one contenders match. And that will give, obviously, Daniel Bryan something to do going into Mania. And then, Roman faces whoever comes out. But I think Roman retains on the night here.
What about you, Jonesy? What do you think about this matchup and how it, what kind of implications it's going to have towards WrestleMania?
I think it'd be a great match. This is obviously main event. Fastlane 2015 they had a fantastic match. I think it'd be the same. I think this is designed really for Edge to accidentally cost Daniel Bryan the match, but Daniel Bryan will get his way into the triple threat of WrestleMania. And for me, Roman Reigns hasn't lost a singles match since December 19. So I don't think he's going to start losing now. I think he'll win this here. And for me, I think it'll be interesting, but Roman isn't dropping the belt here, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. In the chat, Kobe talks. Hey, everyone. What's up, Kobe? Make sure you check out Kobe's channel. Subscribe to him. If you're not subscribed to him, he's another good guy putting out good content on his channel. James Wheeler. What's up, James? How's it going? Thanks for jumping in. What if we get a repeat of No Way Out 2004 and Edge helps Daniel Bryan win the Universal Championship? That's an interesting one, James. That's a really interesting take right there, because I don't like that makes it okay. It makes a lot of sense as to why you would do it, right? But then you have Roman has not been pinned. So how do you work that, right? So now he helps. It has to be a lot done to Roman from Edge and outside stuff to get him to get pinned, so it doesn't take away from Roman just a tad bit. Then you can have the triple threat, right? Because you're not gonna have Roman not sit out that Mania match. It'll be a really interesting way for them to go about it. But I just think with Edge being out there as whatever a special enforcer is, like Mech said, and then Jey Uso is obviously going to be involved, so the enforcer pretty much means nothing because he's not, Jey Uso's going to get involved regardless. It's interesting how they're going to play this and going into WrestleMania, but I want to get both of your guys' opinions. Are you 100% certain it's probably going to be a triple threat? I'm thinking it's probably 100% certain it's going to be a triple threat. Jonesy, 100% sure triple threat match at WrestleMania?
100%, because if Daniel Bryan's not in this triple threat, what else is he doing at WrestleMania apart from facing Jey Uso?
Exactly. Next, what about you?
I think, like I said, it may be maybe Edge puts up his opportunity. Daniel Bryan got into Roman's head last week, got him to sign the contract. If he does the same to Edge and he puts up his opportunity, that could be his night one, and then Edge progresses anyway and then goes on to face Roman on night two. If this is a triple threat at the end of the day, unfortunately, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Roman's not walking out as champion.
No, I think if they make it a triple threat too, it's for Bryan to
pin then, does he?
It's for Bryan to take the pin. That's what it's for, right?
Yeah.
For who? Edge to pin him.
Yeah, for Edge to pin him. Yeah, so Roman doesn't lose. Yeah. That's the only way I can see it turning out in the end. It's just that. But I do like what you just said about the two matches thing. So he faces Bryan first, and then he faces. It's very WrestleMania 10. With Luger and Brett against Yoko, you could do that. It's a possibility. I mean, you can't really have Roman do it, whereas Roman faces both guys and just maybe loses the second against Edge. You would have to have Bryan be the champion so that Edge beats him night one and then defends it against Roman night two. But I just think triple threat's going to happen, and it's just so Bryan can take the fall. Again, I kind of wanted Cesaro to be in the spot rather than Bryan. Even if Cesaro would have taken the fall at WrestleMania, at least he's got a big ass match at WrestleMania. Yeah. The big spot. But I think I don't see how it cannot turn into a triple threat. And then if it doesn't, it's just again, Fastlane is a worthless pay per view. That's what it is. Then if it doesn't do it,
should be renamed Roadblock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If this remains Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and not a triple threat match, do you think Roman still walks out as champion?
Yes, he has to.
Yeah, I think he has to too. Yeah,
I think he has to, but it very much seems here that they're telling the story of Edge's redemption to getting the title back after 10 years, almost 10 years to the day.
It's technically not the title he gave up, though. So I mean, if you look at it that way,
it isn't, but it's still like a redemption. Like literally, he gave up the title 10 years ago on the next night, the 12th of April or something like that. It's literally 10 years. Like, I don't know. I don't want it to happen personally. I would like to think that Edge knows, how wrestling works and put over the younger guys and all of this kind of stuff. Edge clearly doesn't need it either. This is probably the most interesting of things he could be involved in after Mania. Like, in terms of the top of the card, Edge versus Rollins would be nice to see. But after that, I can't really imagine anyone else that I care for him having a match with. I think Roman just needs to steamroll him, man.
Yeah. Honestly. Question. I'm going to pose this question to Jonesy. Do you think it has a positive effect on just overall SmackDown and WWE if Edge wins the championship at WrestleMania, whether it's beating Roman or just winning in a triple threat?
I think it creates intrigue because Roman doesn't lose. So I think that'll be interesting to see the aftermath of that. But the trouble is, how do you get Roman back to being so hot? This is a guy that doesn't lose. That's the thing. I think if Edge has got it for a month, fine. But for me, I think Roman has to keep the belt really. And I don't want to see Roman Reigns get pinned because they've done such good work since he came back.
And SummerSlam. I think it hurts too, the whole gimmick of Roman if he does take that pin, right? And it has to be something super, super outlandish and outrageous for you to get him to get pinned by somebody. It has to be like 30 guys coming out, like how they, if you look back at Royal Rumble, I forget what Royal Rumble it is. It might be 94, the Royal Rumble, where like all the heels attack Undertaker, put him in the casket. It has to be something like that, or like it has to be like every good guy in the backstage comes out. Like you have Kevin Owens, you have Daniel Bryan, you have everybody, just as many baby faces, Big E, all these baby faces you can have come out, beat the living hell out of Roman, saying that you're not the boss of us, and just throw his ass.
I'm going to put it out there. There's only one person in the whole of WWE roster I'd be happy with beating Roman Reigns at the moment, and that's Bobby Lashley. I know he's on a different brand, but for me, he's the only other person that's been built up to a reasonable level. Besides his one loss to Matt Riddle, this is the only other person I think that could instantly come in and take the belt off Roman Reigns if they were to do champion versus champion, which is probably what I would have done if I was at booking WrestleMania this year.
Makes a ton of sense because he's pretty much being booked like Brock Lesnar. Like he's like a Brock Lesnar at this point right now. He's so dominant. It's just like he's destroying everybody.
I mean, as much as I love Roman, like absolutely love Roman, I was so happy and excited when he was handcuffed to those scaffolding and the referee was counting and Kevin Owens was about to become Universal Champion. And then, I don't know, the ref probably just got a message in his ear, stop counting. And the referee was like, oh.
Yeah.
And
we can't undo the handcuffs.
Kevin Owens should be Universal Champion.
Yeah.
I was so invested. And like I said, as much as I love Roman, that's the outcome that I was fully pulling for at that time. And that's the closest person to, he's come closest to beating Roman since Roman's returned. So
yeah, and that's a credit to WWE's creative and storytelling there, how they were able to make Kevin Owens such a sympathetic good guy that you were pulling for him in that spot, because he's been through all that with Jey Uso and attacking him, and then like the way he would have done it would have been so clever to win it. But obviously the finish was convoluted with the whole couldn't uncuff him and all stuff like that. But yeah, I felt the same way. Like I was kind of like, oh man, he's gonna win. So I thought that would have been awesome. But you don't have the same thing here with Daniel Bryan, right? Like you don't have the same, and not everybody's pulling for Daniel Bryan to win this. Some guys are just Daniel Bryan diehards. They're just fans that love him no matter, like, since it's the Yes Movement. So now they want him to win every match and be champion at all times. So people just feel that way, or it seems like they feel that way. So it's all personal preference at this point, but they haven't booked him in the way where you kind of feel that way about him. Again, if this is Cesaro, I'd have been like, hell yeah, pin Roman. Get Cesaro.
I'm surprised they haven't gone about the whole route of this is Daniel Bryan's potential last WrestleMania, because that's the route I would go down if you're booking it, because you would have thought it'd get a lot more sympathy. Everyone would be cheering him on, but that's the route I'd go down if I was booking it.
Yeah. To be honest, I think Bryan's run as the Planet Champion and stuff. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be topped. I think that was absolutely brilliant, booked from beginning to losing to Kofi at Mania, and I don't want to see him win the big one again and then it doesn't live up to that.
No.
So I'm happy for him to go out as that and that be his lasting memory for me.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean that run is funny when you look at it. That the environmentalist run, because
Sensational.
at its face value, it shouldn't be like a heel, but in reality, it is. Like right,
Yeah.
like the guy who's always pushing like all that stuff is like you kind of one of those guys like, oh, it's this guy again, right? He's gonna start like jabbering me with all this stuff and like, oh, okay. So that's what it's like. And then he makes his own title that's made out of like, I don't know, cardboard and
recycled goods.
Yeah, and WWE was still charging for something for that title, which is I always find that to be the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Steve in the chat, I want Big E or Cesaro at SummerSlam. I want it to be Big E or Cesaro. Okay, so he's saying like whoever the champion is, he's facing Big E or Cesaro at SummerSlam, most likely losing to either of those two guys.
Yeah, I'd be a fan of that. I think you get Cesaro dream there. I think Big E, I think he deserves to be a champion. But no, definitely that's a transitional move. I think that'd be smart, really.
I think Big E's I think Big E's arc is most naturally for that to happen, from where he started as a singles to where he is now to the summer being, that's the most natural like arc. Cesaro, it's not happening.
Cesaro, I don't think he's getting a title shot. Definitely not at SummerSlam. He may get one at like Backlash or something like that and lose, and then like I say, the following month, maybe as predicted there by Steve, Cesaro then beats Big E, and then Big E can move on up the card. But he ain't getting no SummerSlam main event. Cesaro, no chance.
Nah, so Cesaro getting a title shot main event, like the way we see it as, is like him getting a main event. Like that would happen like a pay-per-view like Great Balls of Fire. One of those one-time ridiculous pay-per-views that like, why the hell is this a pay-per-view name? That's one of the ones he would get a title shot at. But yeah, that's I mean, I appreciate Steve's optimism when it comes to Cesaro. I really do. I wish we could all feel that same way, but it's like, we've just been battered and bruised by this whole thing that we just can't. We just got to be cynical about it. Undertaker got jumped. Yeah, you remember that, right? Like Undertaker like literally got jumped by every heel. Like where were all the baby faces, right? They were like, no, we're not helping Undertaker.
Yeah, we won't miss it for as long as Bray Wyatt has done this time. Really.
Exactly. Yeah, and then they put him in there. They drew him in the back, and he like ascended afterwards, right? Like technically,
that looks like as a kid, man. That really scared me, man.
He's like technically going to heaven, right? Even though he's like the devil,
the
kind of. Right?
That poor chap. He had to face Giant Gonzalez. That was awful. Come on. It was a fairly good big man, though. To be fair.
It was getting like really, really weird at that point. But yeah, that's the only thing I could see them doing to be like properly beating Roman. It's had to be everybody attacking him. It says, Steve, haha, want and think are two very different things. Yes, they are. Because I want Cesaro to be in that spot, WrestleMania, on top, and finally win the championship. But I don't think it's gonna happen anytime whatsoever. He's like kind of pigeonholed as a tag team specialist, and he gets his singles runs if his tag team breaks up, and it's been stop and go. He'll get some big spots, lose them all. I could be proven wrong, but I mean, if I was a betting man, I put a lot of money on him not getting a championship, a heavyweight championship.
Yeah, give him the Intercontinental title, like I say, maybe after Money in the Bank or something like that, and let him have a little run with that. I think, the best that he's going to get on this side of the year is he may get a main event match against the Roman Reigns or someone at somewhere like Backlash, like I say, but SummerSlam, forget about it. Yeah,
I'd give him Money in the Bank. That's what I would do personally. It'd be
give him the briefcase.
Yeah, I think why not? It's got to be better than Otis and Miz this year. I think.
I agree, but I think that they've messed up that briefcase for some years now, and I think the briefcase generally it needs a lot of character, and I don't feel like we necessarily get that in Cesaro.
Yeah, no, fair point. Like,
I also think like the briefcase needs to be held by a heel. Because it's such a heel thing to have, right? Because you can cash it in whenever. If it's a baby face, he can't really cheat it and like be like, oh, the match is over. Because it's a heel move. He's gonna have to be like, okay, I challenge you for this future event. I'm cashing in for that future event. John Cena's
I think Cesaro could do that though. So if Cesaro was to win it, like Jonesy is saying, and he literally calls out Roman Reigns straight away, next pay-per-view, I'm cashing this thing in, you and me, main event. And obviously where WWE wouldn't have naturally put him in a main event because they clearly don't rate him, this could be an easy way for him to get there. And they're like, okay, we can do it. A one-off, one match with him versus Roman. He loses, but at the same time, he's got what, and we get what we want out of it.
Yeah.
In terms of seeing him at the top of the card.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When Mr. Kennedy won his Money in the Bank, he said he was cashing it in for a WrestleMania match, right? For like the championship WrestleMania. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could have sworn he did that. Mr. Kennedy, when he won Money in the Bank, even though he ended up losing it to Edge because I think he was injured. Mr. Kennedy, I remember him saying it was supposed to be the one in Orlando, the first one. I think that was 24, the one Ric Flair retired.
I think you're right.
He said he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania, so that was the whole thing, which was I thought it was amazing that they would actually pull it that way, because like Mr. Kennedy, remember he beat like 6 world champions like before, in that run, and I remember him saying he was like, I'm cashing this in for a main event championship match at WrestleMania, which is something they could pull with the next guy to kind of really take away that hokey is he gonna cash it in? Is he gonna cash it in? And he comes out and then the referee takes like 20 minutes, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And he's holding it, and then he just set it up. I think that's perfect for a babyface to be like, look, I want my WrestleMania spot. I'm Cesaro. I haven't been giving anything since I've been here. I'm taking the brass ring myself. I got Money in the Bank. I'm going for a WrestleMania main event. That's what I'm cashing this thing in for a WrestleMania main event. I know it hurts the Royal Rumble maybe, but because you kind of know more or less what brand is going to win it. But I don't know. I think, or he can maybe be ambiguous about it and be like, oh, I'll face whatever champion I want at WrestleMania. I think it's something like that. But I think a babyface winning that has to be a lot of circumstances behind it as to how he handles himself.
Guys, just want you to know we spent the last 15 minutes trying to get Cesaro to the main event.
Yeah, we can actually go way longer, to be honest.
And he can't even get a match from Fastlane.
Which is a good thing, I guess, right? Because like Fastlane, I mean, okay, so let's end it with this, right? So enough Cesaro talk. We'll do that another time because we have a lot of chances in the upcoming months to kind of book Cesaro as how he probably should be booked, because they're going to book him terribly. All right, so I want to start with Jonesy first. Out of a 1 to 10, obviously the pay-per-views tomorrow. I'm gonna do a review and all that stuff. We're all gonna do reviews. Let me know right now before the pay-per-view, what do you think out of 10? Out of 5 stars, how rate the pay-per-view before it actually happens? How do you think it's gonna turn out?
3 stars.
Oh, for real? That's optimistic.
In-ring will be fine. In-ring's going to be great. It's just the lack of storytelling. It's just rematch city. It's just the stuff we're talking about that makes no sense on Monday when we watch Raw. That'll be the problem, I think. But no, 3 out of 5. I think it's got a lot of interesting factors. It'll be great to see. This is the last chance really to get WrestleMania started, in my opinion, to get the card looking right, because they've not really built a lot up yet.
Yeah, and then especially this past Monday Night Raw was like, oh, we're late. We had to push the tickets back to this Friday. So let's throw all these matches out, boom, 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 one after another. Yeah. So Max, same question. Out of 5 stars, with obviously you haven't seen the pay-per-view because it hasn't happened yet. What do you think it's going to end up being like out of 5 stars?
Yeah, like Jonesy said, I think I want to say 2.5, but I'll be positive and go for the 3. Like Jonesy said, this is their last chance to really kickstart Mania. And Mania after Sunday is maybe about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. So they've got to basically show us on this show what is happening at Mania. They've got 2 Raw episodes, or maybe 3, or the same for SmackDown before Mania, so that can really kind of cement and build the feuds a bit more. But coming out of this show, we really need to be able to know what the WrestleMania card is going to look like, especially since you're selling tickets.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm going to be extremely pessimistic like the entire time. I'm going to give this one a 2-star rating before, but it'll be 5 stars if it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour long pay-per-view. I'm just saying it'll bump up to a 5-star pay-per-view if it's only 2 hours long, and it'll be nice and quick, boom, boom, knock everything out and get it out of there. Because it's really a pay-per-view that they don't need to have. It's really wasteful. I mean, I guess maybe because we want to get a pay-per-view on Peacock already, so this one's gonna be on both Peacock and WWE Network in the States. So it's like, I guess they want to do it for that. I just know Fastlane. I mean, the pay-per-view in between Chamber and Mania shouldn't exist, to be honest with you. I think they should just keep that in between. You have more time to mold all the storylines heading into Mania, make them compelling as best as you can. I think this in the middle, it's like a big ass stopgap, and then what tends to be WWE's problem is they just tend to throw guys into stuff to kind of just keep stretch stuff out. And that's what Daniel Bryan is here, just to stretch this whole thing out. They put Daniel Bryan in the spot.
He's done a brilliant job of it, though.
Yeah, he does. He has done a good job of it. Yeah, I mean, he has his reasons are logical behind everything he's done, and it makes sense. But it should have been Cesaro, but whatever. But that's our prediction for you guys. I know it was a lot harping on Cesaro, but for the most part, too many people are excited about this pay-per-view. To be honest with you. So I'll drop my review live stream tomorrow night. Tune into that one. Tune into Jonesy Chats Wrestling. Subscribe to his channel because he'll drop a review as well. Max WrestleMania UK. subscribe to his channel as well. If you're not subscribed, he'll do a review as well. What do you call it? Let me see. One more thing in the chat. Eric says ladder match for the 24/7 championship at WrestleMania. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'll take
this champion, isn't it? Let's be fair already. Or Titus O'Neil's going to win it, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'll take a ladder match for anything else, but just let's forget about that belt, please.
I think they probably should do a cinematic match for 24/7 championship, and then just have them do a bunch of ridiculous stuff, and in the end, you know, who knows who wins it? Just
that sounds like the Money in the Bank match that we got last year.
There you go. Yeah, let's do something like that. Maybe do a cinematic or go back to WrestleMania 2000 when they had that ridiculous hardcore championship. Like, you know, whoever holds the title at the end of this time limit is the champion. You had
that was fun. That was so much fun.
Scramble. Was it a scramble?
Yeah,
that was the one where there was the sweet jar in the last minute, and then he got the pinfall. Crash really got the pinfall. If I remember correctly, it was a.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then you had I think the Mystery Posse were in that one too, and they had them win the hardcore championship. But yeah, they could do that. That'd be pretty interesting. They got to do something for the 24/7 championship. I'm assuming so. We'll see what happens. Probably a celebrity will probably win it if they have one there in attendance. You know, maybe Cardi B wins it. Who the hell knows? I mean, honestly, there's a lot of different ways to go with it. But guys, that was our predictions for Fastlane. I hope you guys enjoy the pay-per-view. Again, I always appreciate Mex Jonesy coming onto the channel and helping me out with these live streams. It's always appreciated. You know, there are channels in the description section below. Make sure you subscribe to those channels. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for coming on, Jonesy and Mex. Appreciate it. And catch you guys on the next one.